Yes, 85. Good morning. Today is day 4. Kind of feels like a California winter. All things considered, it's still better than New York. Heading to the gym. This wind is crazy. It's definitely like a storm. There's debris everywhere. Wow, the car is shaking. Everyone else still showed up, so no excuses, not even the weather. People even running outside. Dean.
What's up, man? What's going on?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll have to get that one next time. We swear he did it the first time.
Wow! Wow, dude, that's awesome! God damn it! Hold on. No! Get that hop like this.
Hey, there it is. Oh.
Yeah. Like a real butterfly.
My shoulders are pretty sore from CrossFit, doing all this activity. Floor's gonna try to help me out here. Ow! Oh my god. Oh, pause. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Did I get it?
That part hurts so bad. A few months ago, my friend Ted in China asked for me to make an update video about my life for his son Domi, whom I haven't seen since 2017. So this is a story about mindset, and it's relevant because I feel like this mindset is new to me, and I would say it's probably the biggest life update. Long story short, I ran my first marathon without any training. The marathon took place at the end of August, and the last time I had went running, which was 4 miles, was on June 11th. I signed up for the marathon on my birthday, which was May 29th, and I had started training, and I had every intention of sticking with my training all the way through to prepare for the marathon. However, life just got in the way. My mom had a sudden stroke, and with her living in Massachusetts and me living in New York, I ended up driving back and forth between New York and Massachusetts pretty frequently, spending as much time as I could with my family. Then a little over a month later, I actually got terribly sick. I had unbelievable gastrointestinal issues that no doctor seemed to figure out what it was. But it went on for about 4.5 weeks, and the next thing I knew, it was the week of the race. As race day was getting closer, I kept thinking about how I hadn't trained at all. I had gone running in months, and yet I had a 26.2 marathon. I thought about canceling, but a big part of me just kept saying, just show up and just see what happens. The deal that I made with myself was that I'd give myself 5 hours, and no matter where I was after 5 hours, I would stop. When I got there, the first 2 hours of the race, it was raining, but the environment was electrifying. I had so much energy that out of the gate, I was running way too fast, and I had to remind myself I had to cool it because I've got 26.2 of these. So I had been reading this book called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, and he talks a lot about the pain thresholds involved with long distance running. This being my first experience with no training, I knew they were coming and I knew they were gonna be bad. By the time mile 2 came, I had already felt my left hamstring starting to cramp. I spent a lot of mental energy focusing on using my left quad instead of my left hamstring, just to keep it relaxed, and that served me well up until mile 13. That last 0.1 to complete the half marathon was absolute torture. I blacked out, I couldn't see, I could hardly stand, I was stumbling all over the place, I was a mess. It was like those times when you totally lose sense of what's up, what's down, left or right, you just feel totally lost. I stumbled forward, repeatedly telling myself, just keep moving. Whatever you do, just keep moving. Once I made it to the 13.1 mark, I heard a volunteer say, "Congratulations, you made it halfway." And to me, I was thinking, it's like, you know what? I did well. I've never run a half marathon before. If I have to end here, I can hold my head up high. But the problem was I was another 1.5 miles away from the start/finish line, and I wasn't really sure I was gonna make it. I had slowed to a walk, but I felt my mind and my body just slowly losing control. I felt like I was ready to just flop on the floor and pass out. But I had to just tell myself, just keep moving. If you want to survive, you have to start moving. I picked up the pace, and after a painful few minutes, something in my body totally shifted. All of the pain just disappeared. My mind came back more energized than even when I started. The cramps remained in my body, but the pain seemed to dissipate. Next thing I knew, I was back at crushing miles with cramped thighs. By mile 18, I broke again, and this time it wasn't physical pain, it was emotional. It honestly felt like the most difficult emotional experiences in my life had all surfaced at the same exact time. It was this moment when I realized that those moments are actually the greatest source of fuel. Having all that time to myself made me realize that all those times of adversity made me the fighter that I am today. I was crying, but at the same time I was filled with such energy and willpower that I didn't even know that I had. Next thing I knew, I was about a 1/2 mile away from the finish line, and Flora gives me a call to tell me that I have 4 minutes until the 5-hour mark. Immediately, I thought, this is my chance, I gotta go. I hung up the phone immediately without saying anything, and I just started sprinting. My left calf cramped badly within the first 100 meters of that sprint, but I couldn't stop. I needed to finish. Soon after, my right calf cramped, then my quads, then my left hamstring, then my left groin, but I could see the finish line. I knew if I stopped, I was gonna be on the ground and I wouldn't be able to get up. I just kept yelling at myself to just keep moving. No matter what, just keep moving. And sure enough, I made it across the finish line with a few seconds to spare. I threw my headband on the ground and then immediately collapsed. Although I don't recommend anyone else to ever run a marathon without any training, this was definitely one of the highlights of my life, going through this physical and emotional experience. Anyways, that's it for the life update and the story. I hope you enjoyed it. I had fun. I hope you had fun. And thank you again for joining me. I really appreciate you. For today, I am out, and I'll see you in the next one.